Our next presenter is Dr. D.P. Schwab.
Good evening. The first thing I'd like to do is, on behalf of the Schwab family, my father, my mother, and the rest of the family, just a real thank you for putting this together. The Bayou Sports Region Hall of Fame, everything Stan and all the people involved that have come up with this concept. I think it's just tremendous. And sitting here tonight, listening to these introductions and these wonderful speeches, I'm a little disappointed and upset that they put me last, because I got a lot to live up to, because these have been some tremendous talks in life lessons, and it's an honor from my father to be considered amongst such really successful people. And so tonight I want to tell you a little bit about my dad. He was born in 1943, April 6th, what he affectionately likes to call T-Shoe Pick. Most of you probably don't know about T-Shoe Pick, but it's about somewhere off the road by Labadeville. And he was born to Amy and Sidney Schwab. And they were very simple people. My grandmother had a second-grade education. My grandfather was a farmer. And what he learned growing up from his parents was what hard work would show and what it would produce in your life. And the daily grind of living on a farm and cutting sugar cane and literally, as he always likes to say, living off the land, taught him a lot growing up. He had a great family, great siblings, and he ended up at Thibodeau High. At Thibodeau High, he played football, and that's where he kind of found his groove in life as far as athletics go. He was very successful at Thibodeau High. Was all-state. He'll tell you that their sophomore or junior year, when they played in the state championship, Coach Tick Tatum made a decision to move the game, even though it was going to be a home game in Thibodeau, to Terrebonne High School, because it was a bigger venue and a bigger crowd. Was the biggest mistake they made. They lost that game, and it, to this day, kind of like Brandon Jacobs said earlier, I'm sure it eats at him. It eats at him. But he learned a lot in high school, and he learned, again, to realize the value of hard work, drive, discipline, and dedication. He was recruited by Paul Dietzel, actually. He and his freshman class were Paul Dietzel's last recruiting class. At the time, he tells me a story about he and another fairly legendary guy from Lockport, Joe LaBruzza. They were both seniors and being recruited by a lot of different SEC schools, Ole Miss being one of them. And it's kind of scary because, as everybody here knows, that this family bleeds literally purple and gold. But we almost didn't. We're almost rebels, believe it or not. He and Joe LaBruzza were on a recruiting trip flying to Ole Miss to go make a visit at Ole Miss, and they ran into some plane problems. They had to land the plane early and take a drive into Ole Miss. And at the time, my dad was, per his story, that he was pretty committed that he wanted to go and play at Ole Miss. And of course, we all know that would have been a tragedy. Joe LaBruzza says, Don, you're not going to Ole Miss. You're going to LSU with me. We're going to be a tandem, and we're going to go to LSU, and we're going to make a name for ourselves. And thank goodness Joe was able to convince him of that, because again, we bleed purple and gold. So he goes to LSU, and again, Paul Dietzel recruited him, and Dietzel left, and Coach Charlie McClendon came into his life. And this is a big thing for my dad, because he learned a lot from Charlie Mack. He also learned about the ability to have second chances with Charlie Mack. He had a little bit of trouble in his freshman year at LSU. And Charlie Mack never gave up on him, never turned his back on him, and through that he persevered. At LSU, he had quite a storied career, but the most important thing that happened to him at LSU was a chance meeting of a lady named Nancy DeFatta. Nancy DeFatta was at LSU also, and her father and mother had an Italian restaurant called the Italian Restaurant right there at the north gates of LSU. And I've been told different stories about how they met, who introduced them, and their first dates. And as the years go on, that kind of changes. But suffice to say, they met. Well, my grandfather, who was as old Italian as you could possibly be, wasn't too fond of her beautiful baby daughter dating a big, rough and tough LSU football player. So he didn't really care for Don Schwab too much. So it took him some time to win over Papa DeFatta. One of the stories that he told me growing up was that he told my mom, when they were at LSU, that he lived on a plantation. So of course she says, well, this guy lives on a plantation, it can't be half bad, he's on a plantation. Well, she didn't really know that the plantation was in T-Shoepick. And it wasn't really a plantation, it was a shack. So luckily, she saw through all this, and they ended up dating, and the rest, as they say, is history. His LSU career was really remarkable. To think that in his sophomore year, he was the leading rusher in the SEC, which is an unbelievable accomplishment. And to this day, he's the only fullback at LSU, in LSU's history, only fullback to ever lead the SEC in rushing. And what a tremendous accomplishment. That was definitely in the good old days of student body right, student body left. And I think we'll see some footage later on in the lead-in of what he did. He used the things that he learned growing up from his mom and dad, and he applied that to his entire life. And when he finished at LSU, he decided that he was going to be a football coach. And tonight, I really heard a lot of stories from coaches, from athletes, and from other coaches, and it strikes me as how critical and how unbelievably important the interaction is between a coach or a teacher and their kids, their pupils, their athletes. And it's an overriding theme. And so for my dad to get involved in coaching, in hindsight, was the greatest thing that happened to thousands and thousands and thousands of kids over the career of his high school coaching. He instilled in his kids the same drive and discipline and dedication that would require you to not only win or compete on Friday night, but be successful in life. And he had a really nice gathering a couple of weeks ago that was put on by his ex-players and athletes from across his career. And it was just a remarkable night to see, to really crystallize in front of you the kind of impact that one person can have on so many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lives, and how important that mentorship is to impressionable kids at a time when, other than their parents, they need direction and they need someone to show them how to be successful in life, how to be good men and good women growing up. When he left LSU, he went to Sam Barth High School in New Orleans. It was a private all-boys school, and it was, I guess you could really say it was a predecessor to a John Curtis model. It was all boys, kindergarten to senior, skip the first, sit out kindergarten, so you're older when you graduate, the whole 9 yards, and he was very, very successful there. And when we had the commemoration for him a couple of weeks ago, these guys from Sam Barth, it was 50-plus years that he had coached these kids, and a bunch of them showed up. And I told this story at the previous event. About 6 or 7 years ago, he called me and he said, the guys from Sam Barth want to get together for lunch. I said, oh, great, because they still keep in touch. But I had never really met the guys from Sam Barth, and I didn't really know. I heard about Sam Barth. I wasn't alive in that time. He said, yeah, they want to go to lunch next week. I said, perfect. He said, I want you to go. I said, great. He said, where are we gonna eat? Well, it's in Houston. I said, lunch in Houston, okay. Sounds great. We're gonna ride to Houston. So we drove to Houston. We met these guys, and the first thing that hit me when I walked in is I finally realized that, you know, he was a young man when he started coaching these kids in high school, and that when these guys walked in, some of them looked worse than him and older than him. But to a man, they sat there, and 50 years later, with this man sitting at this table, my dad, and went one by one and thanked him for the success that he gave, the values that he taught them, the discipline, the drive, the dedication that he taught them 50 years earlier, and thanked him and cried to thank him for what he had done for him 50 years later. And that's when it really hit me, the impact that this man has had on so many lives. And then guys from Bourgeois got up and they started talking and they started crying and everybody started crying, and it was just unbelievable as I witnessed this unbelievable testimony to what my dad has accomplished throughout his career. I would suggest that you can measure success a lot of different ways. Some people would consider being wealthy very successful. But in my opinion, in my mind, being successful is the impact that you have on other people's lives and the impact that you impart on people's lives going forward. And from that perspective, my father is the most successful person that I know. He took this drive, this discipline, this dedication, and he instilled it in his kids. And he went from his mother, who had a second grade education, to his brother, Uncle Jerry, a very successful attorney. He gets a 4-year degree in college, the first college graduates in their family. And then the next generation, one generation less, we've got attorneys and physicians. And we didn't get here because it was us. We didn't get here because we're all that great and we're so smart, and we got here, we are successful because of him and my mother. And so many thousands and hundreds of kids are in the same boat, and to see it come together a couple weeks ago was just remarkable and amazing. He's got a great family here, and he wanted me to make sure that I mentioned everybody here. So I already mentioned Uncle Jerry, his older brother, who was with him in the days, in the LSU days, and Uncle Jerry was a heck of an athlete himself back in the day. His baby sister, my Aunt Cindy, my Aunt Joyce, who was married to Uncle Huey, and is here, and then his daughter Christy, husband Sal, Elena, Dominic, and Dominic's fiancee Katie, Michelle, the other two nephews, Jonathan and Dante. He wanted to just recognize him because his family is everything to him. He is a family-centric man, and he does everything in his life has been centered around his family. He made decisions that could have bettered his career, could have put him in different positions, but because his family was going to be adversely affected, he didn't do it. So tonight is with great pride and great joy that I introduce my dad, Don Schwab, for the Bayou Athletic Hall of Fame. Thank you all very much.
I was born in T-Shupik, not the Shupik, the track band, T-Shupik back of Trial Plantation, way in the back. Had about 8 families over there, and stayed there until we was in the 7th grade. 1st grade through 6th grade, we went to LT Elementary. We were 8th graders in the back at Thibodeau High School. So I did everything, ran track, had baseball, and then football and basketball. I played all 4 of them. Tick Tatum was our first head coach. Well, I mean, they had some others previous there, but he was the first outsider that got there, you know. And he was there for like, I want to say maybe 13 years, and a super guy, super guy. We won the district championship all the 3 years that I played there. and we got beat in the finals one year at Terrebonne Stadium, you know, for the AA state championship. It was a good school, good school. I signed under Paul when Paul Diesel's last year was there. We were the last recruiting class that he got there, and then he went to Army for head football coach. Joe LaBruz and I got to be good friends. You know, we went to from Thibodeau High. We went to Percy Quinn State Park, and so we did our 1 week. And Lockport was there with us, and Emit used to come over there and scrimmage us. It wasn't a big difference for me because we played some outstanding coaches coaching football teams when we was at Thibodeau High School. Coach Mack was a super guy. He really was. Back then there was only 62,000 people there. Played in the Blue Bonnet Bowl, played in the Cotton Bowl, played in the Sugar Bowl. It was a good football game. It really was. They were very talented. You know, they had, football players galore, but we were better than them on defense, and that's how we won the football game.
3rd and 9. That screen fakes. Runs to his right. Finally passes to Don Schwab. It's good for 15 yards and a first down in the Syracuse 38. Stopped by Brown. Cripps. Ezel hands off to Schwab at left guard. Good for 5 yards to the LSU 11 as the 3rd period ends with a score tied. Syracuse 10, LSU 10. 45 left to play now. Ezel hands off to Schwab at the middle. It's a gain of 3 to the Syracuse 41. Ezel gives to Schwab at right guard. He gains 7 to the Syracuse 34, and the Tigers have another first down. Chayensky makes the tackle. Ezel gives to Schwab again. He punches out 4 more to the Syracuse 30. Smith makes the stop. Ezel gives it to Schwab at left guard. He gains 3 to the Syracuse 20, and he's stopped by Eberling as the game ends. LSU coach Charlie McClendon is congratulated by Syracuse coach Ben Schwartzwalder as LSU wins 13-10.
We had a great bunch of guys, and we were very fortunate to have the coaches we did have, and that was the way. You know, our biggest deal was stay out of trouble in the off season. I mean, that was a big thing. After my sophomore year, because Joe and I got together and said we're gonna be coaches, you know. And unfortunately, Joe chose another way. I knew there was an all-boys school from pre-K to senior high school, just boys. And I was fortunate enough to have a staff that really knew what they were doing. We only had like 4 of us that was on the whole staff. But we had outstanding players there, and we just had fun. Sam Barth was just one of a kind. You know, he'd drive a bus around town and go pick up people, and I was very fortunate to be there. Very fortunate. Sam Barth to Central High of Baton Rouge as an assistant coach when Sonny Jackson got the head job there. First of all, LP Bordelon was our principal, and that was a joy to be with a guy like that. Some studs out there, man. I had enough. It was, you know, it was a family deal, and we had, 3 kids, and it was, for us to do something else, and we were very fortunate. We stayed there 2 years, and I was very fortunate to get the job at Vanderbilt High School. And I was very fortunate. The people the places that I coach have some good athletes and make you a good coach. I left everywhere happy. I was very fortunate in all the situations. I mean, you know, the principals I had at H.L. Bourgeois and the people I had at Vanderbilt Catholic. I mean, you know, there's some good people there. And once again, also, but we were surrounded by great people, you know, Terrebonne High, South Terrebonne, Ellender. I mean, you know, it was just a good situation, man. This area is blessed with people, man, you know, and you got some good football players here. I think it was because of I had a bunch of guys and women that got interested in me running, you know, and at first I didn't really think about it very seriously, you know. And the more times that we had an opportunity to talk, and they said, "Look, we're gonna vote for you. We're gonna get people to vote for you, and you're gonna win." And that's what happened. You know, I was very glad to do it, but I was very glad to get out of it. You know, you could take that for what it's worth, okay? Because you got plenty of parish presidents all over the parish. Once you get behind that desk, you know. At that time, I wasn't dating anybody, didn't have anybody in mind. And matter of fact, I was introduced to her through David Pochet. Oh, I love my kids. my wife is first, then I started grandkids. You know, of course, Michelle and Christy graduated and Donna Paul graduated from Vanderbilt Catholic. So we were very fortunate, man, and we had a good family. Michelle Renee is married to Randy. Sal is married to Christy. And Donna Paul married to Gina Palmazana. We have 7 grandchildren. Michelle's got Dante and Jonathan. Christy and Sal have Dominic and Elena. And then Donna Paul's got Sydney, Josie, and Juliana. He's got 3 girls. How can I say that? We were very fortunate. All of them are very good kids.
Every time I talk to him, I call him the legend. But more importantly, I call him a friend. Our next inductee, Mr. Don Schwab.
It won't be long. It won't be long. Thank y'all so much for coming out tonight. I see some friends of mine, guys I coached. Where's the coach? There he is. But I'm just so glad to be here. I got some great people in the audience that I know very, very well. Dickie Headell for one, and just good people. I'm humbled and so very grateful to be honored tonight as an inductee in the Bayou Region Athletic Hall of Fame. And would also like to congratulate the other inductees. What a wonderful night it has been for everyone. But I know it's been a long night, so I will keep this short and sweet. How about that? I'm not sure if I was last night, tonight, because they went in alphabetically order, or because I'm the oldest one here. But I will tell you this, I didn't get to this point in my life on my own. One of my favorite quotes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Well, I could promise that I have not been alone for 1 minute in this journey. I thank God every day for all of the many blessings that I have in my life. Y'all bear with me, please. The amazing support of so many people along the way. My family is the top of that list. My heart, my beautiful wife, Nancy Rose. We've been married for only 57 years. That's a lot. Dr. Dickie Headell told me I had too many. So Dickie, I stopped. And she stopped, okay? We were blessed with 3 children, Michelle and her family, her husband Randy, with Dante and Jonathan. Stand up, boys. Huh? Good boys. Christy, married to Sal, and our daughter. Nancy and I have been the best friends, have the best friends anyone could ask for. Friends that we've had since we were back at LSU. Friends that we made after we first moved to Houma, and friends that we made along the way. All friends for life and friends that we are forever grateful for. And of course, I can't say enough about the coaches that I have played for, and it was about the journey and the life lessons along the way. I will treasure those days forever. My journey has been truly blessed, filled with family, friends, love, and laughter. But just remember, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you don't want to go together. Thank you all very much.
What a night, Hall of Fame night, and looking back at a young kid from Shoepick and watching you progress.
T-Shoepick.
T-Shoepick.
It's T-Shoepick, not Shoepick.
And how many times have you corrected me on that?
A bunch.
What's tonight mean?
It's just something else. It's good, you know?
Yeah. And it's emotional for you like it is for a lot. It means people have recognized what your career is all about.
That's it.
Yeah, just giving back to people.
That's it.
You know? And of course, only a few days ago, we had a lot of people gather to give testimonials about yourself. But when you were playing at Thibodeau and Coach Mack and all those recruiters were coming by, did you ever think that it would lead to a night like this where you inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Never. Yeah. They didn't even think about it, Martin. You know, it just, the accomplishments I did is good, okay, but it stops somewhere, you know?
Yeah. But you chose to put all that energy after in the coaching.
Oh, I did.
And I saw by the crowd you had the other night that you coached a lot of people up,
Yeah.
and they sure didn't forget it. What were those coaching days like?
Oh, that was good. Sam Barth days was hard to beat, man. And, you know, I stayed there eight years, and if he didn't want to change it, I'd probably have stayed there, you know.
Yeah.
But he was way ahead of himself. So.
Then you got to Bourgeois, and well, you had a large contingent of Bourgeois
Yes, we did.
players
Yes, we
there.
did.
So
I saw some tonight just then. You
Yeah.
know, just-
And I saw Coach Albert and a lot of people that have come by, and your son gets to present you tonight, right?
I hope he says good things about me.
Well, you know he will.
Yeah.
And I mean, just being in the company of the group going in this year, Coach, that's
Yeah.
a star-studded group.
Yeah.
And I saw Clarence Verdant just walked up and said, "That's my man right there, Coach." So even the guys that didn't play for you,
Yeah.
they sure knew who Don Schwab was.
Well, I know them too. They were pretty damn good football players. Yeah.
Well, Coach, I appreciate everything you've done for
Well.
everybody, and this is your special night. I'm sure we're going to be watching intently as you get inducted, but you sure deserve it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.